Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Mearns, and I have the great good fortune to serve as the president of Ball State University, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to welcome you here this evening to a very special event, a special event for our schools, for our children, and for our community. I'm grateful to all of you who have joined us this evening. I also want to thank those of you who are watching us via live stream at bsu.edu and also watching via Facebook Live. And we appreciate your participation. We value your participation and your participation in this important process. In just a few moments, we're going to hear from the applicants for the new school board that will be empowered to lead the Muncie Community Schools, to lead our schools. Before we begin the presentations, though, I want to just take a few moments to remind you of why we're here this evening. Last month on May 16th, I had the opportunity to recommend to our Board of Trustees that we at Ball State University embrace the opportunity that was presented to us pursuant to a new state law. During my presentation to the trustees, I told them that we had the opportunity, indeed that we had the obligation, to unite our community with one single common objective: the education of the children of Muncie, Indiana. Every child, all of our children, deserve our unconditional and unwavering commitment to provide a quality public education to every child. The Ball State trustees at the end of that meeting unanimously and enthusiastically approved my recommendation, and our university is now the lead agent of this new partnership. And I want to reiterate that point, that it is a partnership. This responsibility is not ours alone at Ball State. This must be a community effort. And our partnership with the Muncie community, with the entire community, with the students, with their families, with our teachers and the staff, with civic organizations, with the business community, and many of you here and all across Muncie, this must be a comprehensive collaboration. That must be at the heart of this initiative. And to ensure that the community has a strong voice in this partnership, the new school board will embark on a consultative planning process after July 1st. As I said during my presentation to the board, we also intend to create a community engagement council. The members of this council will then serve as volunteers and as advocates for our public school children and their families. This council will also help us raise private contributions to support this effort. And we're off, as you may know, we're off to a very good start in that regard. In just a few weeks, we have received more than $3.1 million in commitments and philanthropic opportunities for this new initiative. Thank you. We also recognize that the teachers and the staff of the Muncie Community Schools, they are vital to our success. And that's why at our trustees meeting last month, I indicated that next school year, based on our consultation with Steve Edwards, that every current Muncie Community Schools employee will be able to return to the Muncie Community Schools next year, and that their salaries and benefits will be the same as this past year. We also announced some new benefits for Muncie Community School employees. First, we intend to use some of the private contributions to create a $50,000 fund for additional school supplies that the Muncie teachers can draw upon. And Ball State will provide additional benefits to the Muncie Community School employees. Beginning next fall, all Muncie School employees will be eligible for scholarship to enroll in classes at Ball State. These scholarships will effectively reduce our standard tuition by 50%. All Muncie Community Schools will also receive the Ball State employee ticket rate to attend our games and all entertainment and cultural events on our campus. And all Muncie Community School employees, all teachers and staff, will be able to use our campus recreation facilities at the Ball State employee rate. As I said a moment ago, we recognize at the university that the Muncie school teachers and the staff are critical to the success of this initiative, and we want to support them. So with this background now for tonight's program, as you probably know, the new Muncie Community School Board will consist of 7 members who will serve staggered terms. 5 will be appointed by the Ball State trustees based on recommendations from me, And I will also then appoint directly 2 additional Muncie Community School Board members based on nominations provided by Mayor Tyler and the Muncie City Council. And this evening we'll hear directly from those 6 nominees, as well as several women and men who have applied directly to our university. As you may have heard or read, we received more than 80 applicants from passionate and accomplished people from all across the community. And then in consultation with our university trustees, I have narrowed that large list to a diverse and talented group of semifinalists. Tonight I'm going to begin by asking each of the candidates, having each of the candidates share with you this evening why they are interested in serving and why they believe they are qualified to serve on the Muncie Community School Board. Each candidate at the outset will have 2 minutes to share this information. After that is concluded, then I will ask each of the candidates 2 questions. Each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to respond to each of those 2 questions. The questions were provided to the candidates yesterday to enable them to prepare for their presentations this evening. Then, before we conclude the program, each candidate will have up to 1 minute to offer any final comments. Gail, who's sitting in the front row, is going to alert the candidates when they have 15 seconds remaining, and then she's going to give you the red card when it's time to stop. I told the candidates that they should stop when they see the red, okay? The order of the presentations was determined earlier this evening by a random draw. That is the way the candidates are seated here, pursuant to that random draw. And really, the goal of this evening's forum is to focus on learning as much as we all can from each of these distinguished candidates. And if you have feedback for me, you could have received either on the way in or the way out. There's a card on the table in the back, and you can share your feedback about the candidates on this card, and those cards will be collected and provided to me. So let's get started. We're going to begin with the opening round, and we're going to begin with Ms. Anna Quirk-Hunter.
Thank you. My name is Anna Quirk-Hunter. I've been an attorney here in Muncie since 1991. I have 2 daughters that have both attended the Muncie Community Schools. My oldest daughter is a junior at IU, and my youngest daughter is a junior at Muncie Central. Part of my concerns with the community schools are keeping the early college program and the AP classes in the school system. My daughter is enrolled in both of those programs, and she had, at the end of her time at Central, she will have 60 hours of college credit. And I think a lot of people don't know or don't understand all of the good programs and the good work that has been going on in the community schools. I also am a public defender in the juvenile court system. I'm out at the YOC every week. I see children out there who need extra attention and extra help with getting their education. So one of my other priorities is to keep the priority school going out at the YOC so that the children that have been expelled or suspended still have some place to go to school to get credit recovery and to continue with their education even while they are expelled. I'm also concerned with the middle group of the children. I think that we need to be sure that we maintain good academics here for the average student, and we have other options available for them for some type of certification programs or training, such as the classes that take place at the MAC. I think that all of those programs are very important, and throughout my time with my children, I have also helped numerous times with grants and fundraising for children, and I think all of us need to pull together and be one Muncie and solve the problem that we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel Willard.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Willard, and I'm a tax consultant at Ducharme McMillan Associates in Indianapolis. I'm originally from Mankato, Minnesota, and my family moved to Seymour, Indiana when I was in elementary school. I attended and graduated Ball State, fell in love with Muncie and a Muncie girl, and I've been living in Muncie for the last 10 years. My wife, Mary, is an English teacher at Westall High School, and we have 2 children, Daniel Jr., who is 3, and Isla, who is 1. Aside from attending public schools for my own educational journey, public education has always been of extreme importance in my life. Growing up, my grandparents were educators at the high school and collegiate levels, and my mom's an elementary teacher in Jennings County. Having this personal experience as a spectator to educational issues that have come up with them as educators, as well as my own recent knowledge of what it is like to be a student in the educational climate of today, I've always been a well-rounded source of opinion because of my ability to consider all the sides of the many issues within this context. This is a groundbreaking opportunity. I want to be involved with the strategic planning and implementation of a school corporation that will thrive. I want to bring my unique perspective to this historic opportunity to improve the community and cause people to move to Muncie because the school district is one of the best. While comparing myself to the other candidates, it is clear that their qualifications, life experience, and education outweigh mine. Each one of them would make exceptional school board members. However, at 28 years old, my qualifications are unique in that I have a fresh perspective, being a person who can more personally relate to the issues that students and teachers alike are facing daily. With this perspective, I am also removed enough specifically from the MCS system that I will be willing and even excited to embrace the changes necessary for the school corporation to succeed. Lastly, and most importantly, I am a father to 2 children who will grow up in the MCS corporation, hopefully in a learning culture much different than any of us had. They should be rich with endless opportunities, their passion should be fostered, and their strengths should be guided with an innovative and creative lens to prepare them for their future careers and balanced potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jason Donati.
Good evening. Thank you to Muncie Central and the Muncie Central staff, Principal Walker, for hosting us. Thank you to BSU, President Mearns, everyone who's worked hard to put this together, and thank you to Mayor Tyler for nominating me and giving me an opportunity to be up here. As far as why am I interested in serving, I'm interested in serving for the same reasons I ran and got elected to participate in this process and to be an advocate for our public school system and for public education. I'm a parent. I have 2 children currently in Muncie Community Schools, and I'm passionate about seeing every child have access to the best resources and education possible in Muncie. So I'm still as passionate as I was a couple years ago when I wanted to get involved, and I'm still open and willing and really interested in being a part of, I guess, this historic moment here that we're up here participating in. So I'm looking forward to an opportunity to potentially serve on this new appointed board. I believe I'm qualified because I have some experience. I've been an elected member for a year and 6 months, so I've got to see a lot of transition through the last couple years, and I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about how school boards work and function, about policy governance. I've devoted many hours throughout the week to my role as an elected school board member, and I think that that's really given me a lot of opportunity and experience that would be helpful in this transition and in the strategic planning process. I've built good relationships with staff members and teachers and students, and I'm active in the community. I'm a part of many nonprofits. I've been serving in the community for many, many years since I moved back, and I'm just adamant about moving our community forward and working together for the best opportunities for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Keith O'Neill.
Yes, good evening. My name is Keith O'Neill, and I'm the lead pastor at Destiny Christian Center International here in Muncie. Grew up here, went to school here up until my sophomore year, and my dad took a job in Anderson as the assistant superintendent of schools and moved over there as a sophomore, which was not a happy time for me, but I moved right back. My kids have graduated from city schools, and my grandkids, well, I've got 5 grandsons that will be in the school system here. I am here because I love Muncie, and I believe the public schools are critical to the success of our community. I'm a pastor of a church. I deal with all kinds of people all the time. We have one of the unique churches here in our community. We're very diverse. I've dealt with different kinds of people over the years. We own 2 different daycares, and we started those daycares because of my understanding of the need for getting to these kids earlier to teach them certain kinds of principles that I think they'll grow up to be better citizens. And so one of the things that is important to me, and I think is important to all of us, is to build a community together. No more top-down leadership per se, and I think we have to start building trust back in our leadership. I think Dr. Mearns and Ball State and what has already been attributed to what's going on here with the financial contributions that have come forward lets us know that we can do this. I'm old enough to have remembered when our school system was pristine and well regarded. And so I want to be a part of the process of taking us from where we are to a great thriving school system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Daniel Stallings.
Thank you. Good evening, President Mearns, fellow candidates and concerned citizens. My name is Daniel Stallings, and I believe I am uniquely qualified to serve on the Muncie Community Schools School Board. In addition to being a parent of two very involved students in the Muncie schools, I have both an academic and a business background. I'm an independent financial advisor with over 13 years of experience, including owning my own practice and serving in leadership roles in my professional association at both the local and state level, including serving 2 years as a local board president. I also have a master's of education with an emphasis in counseling and administration. I have 15 years of professional experience in higher education administration, including 6 years at Ball State University, having served as the director of the Office of Leadership and Service Learning, which provided me with the unique campus and community leadership opportunities and permitted me to bridge resources between the university and the community, particularly with local schools and not-for-profit partners and resources. I have served on the board for Motivate Our Minds, or MOMS, including 2 years as board president. I currently serve on the Muncie Public Library as the board president for that organization as well, and Muncie Public Library is a key partner with Muncie Community Schools. Particularly, the Muncie Public Library budget was similarly impacted by local property tax caps that's been affecting the Muncie schools for quite some time. And then Director Jenny Nillis prepared for the anticipated budget reduction by successfully completing a very difficult process of downsizing buildings and staffing, which has since put them in a position of strength now, and Muncie Public Library enjoys a reputation in this community that's very positive. I'm also a member of the Guardian Scholars Program at Ball State University, which supports college-bound youth who have participated in and aged out of the foster care system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stallings. Mr. James Williams.
Good evening. My name is Jim Williams. I'm originally from Liberty, Indiana, which, for those of you unfamiliar with all the little burgs in Indiana, it's about 13 miles south of Richmond. I've been in Muncie on and off since 1994, practicing law with Defer Varan. I've been on the management committee since 2005. We have now at 4 locations approximately 30 lawyers and about 50 employees. I say on and off in Muncie because I took a break in 1997 to run for judge and served as a trial court judge for effectively 7 years and then senior judge for another 3, and still do dispute resolution around the state. During that time on the bench, I had general jurisdiction, which includes juveniles. I witnessed firsthand during the recession of 2001 the delinquency filings and children in need of services filings spike. Anytime there are socioeconomic challenges faced in a community,
Thank you very much. Mr. Frank Scott.
Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Scott, Sr. I am a lifelong resident of Muncie. My wife, lovely wife, Sheila, and I have been married for 39 years, and we are products of the Muncie Community School System. We have 2 children, Camille and Frank II, also products of the Muncie Community School System, and now 2 wonderful, wonderful grandchildren who will soon be entering Muncie Community School System. I am the Associate Pastor of Christ Temple Global Ministries. I am the President of White League Neighborhood Association. I also serve on the Board of Directors at the Muncie Delaware County Chamber of Commerce. I am a graduate of Ivy Tech Community College and a graduate of the Academy of Community Leadership here, and also the finance manager of our Child Care Center, Kids Corner. One of the things that I've heard is that Muncie Community Schools is a lifeline for the city of Muncie, and I understand that, but I look at it as a lifeline for our children's hope and our children's future, and I don't want that to be lost in the mix of this. I've had the pleasure of working with Ball State and Muncie Community Schools and our neighborhood association, and have seen the tremendous transformation and progress that can happen when the community comes together. And the reason I am here tonight is because I want to continue to be a part of that process and serve and commit myself in any way and any capacity that I can to continue to see our children thrive in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dave Heater.
Good evening. My name is Dave Heater. I'm a Muncie native, son of two teachers. In fact, both of my parents, Bob and Barbara Heater, retired from the Muncie Community Schools. My mom retired from Muncie Central. I am a product of the Muncie Community School system, graduating from this building in 1979 and then went on to earn 2 degrees at Ball State. I was very fortunate to have participated in a co-op program while a senior here at Muncie Central. That program allowed me to finish my senior year and at the same time learn about the real-world experience and by working at Mutual Bank. 40 years ago this September, I started a career with the company that I continue to work for today. The partnership between a public school corporation and, in my case, a financial institution, a local business, was a critical opportunity that I had to be successful. I've had the privilege of leading a successful company for nearly 15 years now. As a CEO of a public company, my responsibilities primarily lie in strategy and leadership. I'm required to evaluate what possibilities the future holds, assess what our current environment is, and determine the strategy to achieve the success, then lead the execution of that plan. I'm also accountable for that success, and I'm also accountable for over 500 employees. I've had the opportunity to be involved with and lead a diverse list of organizations and activities in our community. Experience I have gained with that engagement has provided a great opportunity to understand and appreciate all aspects of our community. Leveraging the excellent faculty and staff that are already in MCS with the needed resources to enhance their ability to teach and serve must be a top priority. An outstanding school system must have vision and unyielding dedication from faculty, staff, and administration. And in addition, the system must have leadership at the board level that embraces accountability for providing quality education while ensuring economic stability for the entire system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heater. Ms. Tammy Dodson.
Hello, my name is Tammy Dodson. I'm a 37-year resident of Muncie. Prior to that, I lived in Yorktown for 13 years. I'm currently employed by Meridian Health Services as a residential operations manager. I oversee 6 group homes and 1 acute unit. Part of my duties include managing a multi-million-dollar budget, training of employees, the hiring and firing of employees, staying within compliance of local and state laws. I have worked in the field with developmental disabilities. Prior to that, I sold 2 businesses in 1995 for a profit, so I have more than 30+ years of managerial experience. I'm a mother of 2 adult children and a grandmother of 2 wonderful grandchildren, and I'm also a foster parent to many children. In my world, it takes a village to raise these children. I have love and support from my family, and in my home, our foundation is family and education, and I would like to bring that philosophy to the Muncie Community School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. Ms. Kathy O'Neill.
Thank you, Dr. Mearns. This opportunity is a true investment for me. I believe in the community, or I frankly wouldn't have stayed, and I have stayed for a long time. I'm originally from New Jersey, left there after high school, and have experienced nothing but good things since. I'm a joiner. I've been involved in virtually everything I can think of, whether it's the chair of the United Way of Delaware County, Noon Rotary, part of the Ball Memorial Foundation fundraising, lots of fundraising activities for Ivy Tech, for Ball State. I've been around a while, so you get to accumulate these experiences. And then I pulled back a little bit because I felt as though now it's time for the younger generation to have ownership in the community the way that I did. And then I got an email about this opportunity, and I simply could not apply. In my mind, in my world, I'm an investment broker. I believe in getting a return on your time and money. And without education being as stellar as you can possibly create it to be, you're cheating the kids. Because the world that they're going to grow up in isn't going to be as patient as the world that we grew up in. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to start businesses. I started Happy, Clean, and Smart and sold it in 2014. I now own Epic Escape, but I'm also working as an investment advisor. It's a good position either way.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill. Mr. Cliff Johnson.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cliff Johnson. I believe most people know me or recognize me in this area as CJ. I came to Ball State in 1988 on a football scholarship, and I graduated in 1993 with a secondary education degree with a minor in coaching. I didn't go into teaching because other opportunities presented themselves and went a different direction, but I've always had a love for school teachers and people that do what they do in that work. After that, I created my own businesses. I've created a sports bar here, a banquet hall. I oversaw over 500 wedding receptions here. My experience with all these businesses and managing apartments, I feel like I'm qualified because I'm deeply rooted in Muncie. Many times over the years, people have asked me that I went to school with, that I played football with, or ran track with here at Ball State, why are you still here? The reason why I'm still here is because I believe in Muncie. I'm deeply rooted in Muncie. I met my wife here in Muncie. My wife is also deeply rooted. She's a technology support manager at Mutual Bank. We both believe in the school system. We have 3 boys, one that's in the Muncie Community System schools. We have 2 upcoming. Everyone up here has a why. My why is I believe in Muncie, and I want to make a difference, and I want to change the approach and the thought process of all these people that leave, that graduate here, and they leave because they don't think anything is here in Muncie. There's a lot here in Muncie. There's a lot to be proud of here in Muncie. And if I get the opportunity to be on this board, I'm going to bring the integrity and pride back to it.
Thank you, sir. Professor Brittany Bales.
Thank you, President Mearns. First of all, I'm incredibly humbled to be sitting up here at all with all these awesome individuals. I'm a Muncie girl. I was born and raised here in Muncie. I graduated from Muncie Southside High School. Woo, go Rebels. I then went on to Ball State, where I got my undergraduate degree in special education. I got my master's in special education and then my administrative license as well. I had the opportunity to teach at Muncie schools, which was awesome. As a student, to come back as a teacher and be on the other side. I taught here for the first 5 years of my career, and I absolutely loved it. I worked with the best educators in the world. And then I moved on, and I'm now at Ball State, where I'm a professor, and I have the opportunity to train our future teachers. So I think with those things and the fact that I also have 2 kids, I bring some unique perspective because I have the educator-teacher perspective, the Muncie resident perspective, the parent perspective. And so I think all of those things lend to being able to help with this board. But also, like CJ said, I have people ask me all the time, why have you stayed in Muncie? Why have you stayed here? Because I'm a Muncie girl through and through. Like he said, we believe in this city. We love this city. I love the people, and I love the kids. So I want to be a part of this because I want everyone else to see what we see, to see how great Muncie is, to see how great the schools are and how great the teachers are, so that they want their kids to come here too.
Thank you. Mr. James Lowe.
Thank you, President Burns. Good evening. I'm Jim Lowe, the Associate Vice President for Facilities Planning and Management at Ball State University and have worked there for the past 30 years. I serve as the Principal Administrative Officer responsible for the development and implementation of the university's Facilities Master Plan and oversight for the university's facilities planning, operation, and maintenance. I graduated from Muncie Central in 1973, then went on to graduate from Kettering University in 1978 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering. I'm a registered professional engineer in Indiana. I worked at Muncie Chevrolet from 1973 to 1987, then at Westinghouse for a short period of time, prior to arriving at Ball State University in late 1987. I've been married to my wife, Joy, for 41 years, and we have 3 children and several grandchildren. All 3 of our children graduated from Muncie Central, and all 3 then graduated from Ball State University. I have served on many Muncie community boards and advisory groups, and my support for the Muncie Community Schools include the Muncie Community Schools 2010 Blue Ribbon Task Force, member of the Advisory Group for the Study of Traditional versus Block Scheduling, Public Law 221 Committee member, Muncie Northside, aimed at education accountability, Advisory Committee member, Project Lead the Way for high school students interested in engineering, architecture, and manufacturing, Central Southside High School Facilities Consolidation Transition Committee, Healthy Food Solutions Committee member, Social Studies Curriculum and Textbook Adoption Committee member, Parent-Teacher Organization President, elementary and middle schools, coached basketball in Muncie Community Schools for 6 years at Storr and Northside Middle School, board and founding member of the John Frank 5th and 6th grade football league. I am invested in the Muncie community and want to continue to support and nurture the advancement of our community and our school system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Ms. Lori Mathis.
Good evening. I am Lori Mathis, and I am so honored to be here today. Out of the large pool of applicants, it's really a great experience, so thank you. I came to Muncie in 1998 to study at Ball State. When I first came, I thought I would finish my degree, I'd move back to Ohio, or I'd go somewhere super exciting and glamorous. But when I graduated, I realized I had really become captivated by this town. I wanted to raise a family here and build a life here. So I stayed here. I accepted an entry-level position at Open Door Health Services. I spent 13 years there, where I moved from that entry-level position to the Director of Performance Improvement. During that time, I looked at how we can improve processes, what we can do to ensure that our patients are receiving the best care possible. I also, in that time, brought close to $20 million to the East Central Indiana region in grant funds. Last year, I was able to accept a position at Meridian Health Services, where I'm now the Director of Community Health. I work with a lot of organizations and internally to make sure that we are integrating our services and providing the best care. On a personal note, I have a son who just finished kindergarten in Westview Elementary. He was a part of the first year of the dual language program, which was absolutely amazing. But our journey with the schools didn't start just this past fall. He started receiving special education services when he was 3 years old, but participated in the developmental preschool for special needs kids, and really has received top-notch services since he was 3 years old. We have so many committed teachers that we meet at every turn. I'm really excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait to see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Stacy Fisher-Garing.
I'm Stacy Fisher-Garing, and my job is to be the mom of 2 daughters who are enrolled in Muncie Community Schools, but my vocation is as the lead pastor of High Street United Methodist Church. I am the lead pastor, which is really to say senior pastor, but the title senior pastor denotes somebody old and male, and I am neither old nor male, thank you Jesus, so I proudly stand before you as the first female lead pastor of High Street United Methodist Church. There is always a glass ceiling to break and a barrier to tear down, my friends. My family and I moved to Muncie just 1 year ago, and my fresh eyes and open perspective would be an important asset to the school board. I do not bear the burden of the glory days of the past, nor am I tainted by the more recent struggles. I also bring with me my experiences from living in many different towns and cities in Indiana, and I bring a global perspective from living in another country. In each of the communities, I have built relationships across all socioeconomic and racial lines. I volunteered in the schools and with other organizations. While serving as a pastor of a large church in another community, I had the task of managing the church's preschool that for the 3 years previous to my involvement experienced decreasing income and excessive expenditures. And after leading a hard-working team of volunteers, within 1 year, the preschool's income exceeded its annual budget. Now, this process required listening, creativity, out-of-the-box thinking, constant communication with the congregation, the families, and the employees, making difficult but necessary changes in staffing structure and salary scale, and a whole lot of transparency. And although these are on differing scales, the skills required for systemic change, structural health, and financial sustainability are the same. And I have those skills, and I'm passionate to use them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adam Baus.
Thank you, President Mearns, and to the Ball State trustees and to the Muncie community for being here this evening. I've been in Muncie for most of my adult life, having graduated from Ball State University. But even before graduating, I was working at the Youth Opportunity Center, where I was on the front lines of working with some of the kids and the families in our community that have faced some of the toughest, most challenging circumstances. While still living in Muncie, I worked in informal education when I worked at the Conner Prairie Living History Museum near Indianapolis, where I was tasked with creating and managing innovative experiences that would inspire curiosity and foster learning for students, for schools, and for families. And then my family did move away to Oklahoma for a number of years, but when we returned so that I could be a part of the staff at Commonwealth Church, we intentionally chose to live in Muncie and to put our kids into Muncie Community Schools. It was important to us. It was valuable for us to be able to work, to play, to have our kids in school, and to build community all in the same place. I went on to pursue and earn a master's degree in organizational leadership because throughout my work, I have been primarily focused on helping people, teams, and organizations thrive. So my experience and my skills, my perspective, more recently have focused on executive coaching and communication strategy. And that's why I'm here. I want to lend my experiences, my skills, and my perspective to the school board. I'm optimistic about the future for Muncie and Muncie Community Schools, but it's not a blind hope, because hope isn't actually a strategy. I think that this is a turning point, and every single person in the community plays a role in that. And if my skills, my experience, my perspective can serve the community well by playing the role of a person on this school board, I would be honored and kind of blown away to be in that role. So I look forward to what's coming in the future, and I'm excited for what's going to happen in these schools in the coming weeks and months and years.
Thank you very much. Ms. Denise Milburn.
Good evening. My name is Denise Milburn, and I have an educational background of 27 years, both in the classroom and in administration. My husband and I have moved to Muncie 33 years ago, and I have often told people this was a great place to raise children. We have 3 children, 7 grandchildren. We have been married 48 years tomorrow. That's a blessing. And so in the course of being here in Muncie, even though I am retired, I have been involved in developing educational experiences for children, not only in Muncie, but also around the world. I have developed teacher training modules for behavioral modification and conducted professional development workshops. Education is my passion, and I love it when I'm in a classroom and see the light bulb come on over a child's head during instruction. I am a teacher advocate. I believe children begin their educational journey with a blank canvas, and the teachers have been given the privilege and the awesome responsibility to comprehend and understand their giftings and to set a vision for the year to fulfill the mission. My expertise and my experience I bring to the board. I feel it's an honor to even be among these great semifinalists. And I believe that my heart and my soul can bring a depth and an understanding to this board, and I'm willing to serve.
Thank you very much. Pastor Andre Mitchell.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Andre Mitchell, and unlike Reverend Stacy, I am a senior pastor of Deliverance Temple. I am male, hopefully not old yet. But I bring some real-world experience to this board in the sense that I had a unique opportunity to teach abstinence in every single middle and high school in both the county and the city schools. Now, abstinence is not a very easy subject to teach, but one thing I noticed is that the teachers and the students in the public schools were just as excellent as the teachers and the students in the county schools. So my passion is to change the narrative that Muncie public schools are a bad place for our kids and that our county schools are so much better, because for real world experience, I've seen that is not the case. Sure, we have some challenges, but the narrative that we are a failing school with failing teachers and failing students, that is not true, and I am passionate to change that. I also have another passion, and because ministry has led me down the path of working with people of substance abuse, and that has been gut-wrenching and it's been hard work. So I learned that being on the front end and dealing with children is a much better way to be preventative. My wife and I own a daycare, and I'm able to see kids from infancy all the way up to high school. And if I'm allowed to be on this board, I'm humbled and honored. If I'm allowed, I would take that expertise to help change this city for the better when it comes to our Muncie public schools. As well as my wife and I we both graduated from a Christian school, yet we decided to put our kids in public schools because we believe in them just that much. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Ms. Watasha Barnes Griffin.
Good evening. My name is Watasha Barnes Griffin, and I am the Chief Executive Officer for the YWCA of Muncie. I am also the chapter president for the Indiana Black Expo. I am the result of Muncie Community Schools. This district helped shape who I am today. I attended Sutton Elementary School, Franklin Middle School, and I graduated from Muncie Central. My family and my extended family are still where I grew up on the South Side. Every day, I serve families on the South Side. My community is still there. I now live on the East Side, East Jackson and 32 to be exact, right next door to the former Claypool School that is now the Head Start. My friends and families went to Claypool School. I'm an active parent. My husband and I are involved in our children's schools. I serve on PL 221 for Sutton and Northside. I've been the PTO chair at Sutton, Longfellow, Northside. I'm an active parent. My children also attended Sutton Elementary School, and just 2 weeks ago, my daughter graduated from Longfellow, 5th grade, because Sutton closed. My son graduated from Northside, and he will attend Central when school starts back, and my daughter Sanaya will go to Northside. I will continue to advocate and be an involved parent, because parent involvement is crucial. As the CEO of the YWCA of Muncie, I advocate for marginalized and poverty-ridden women and children who are homeless, who every morning get up and take their kids out our front door to put them on a Muncie Community School bus to get them to school despite the issues that they're facing. They are concerned about their children. They are passionate about the education that their children can receive, but they just don't have the voice to say what they need. And so I will be that voice. I hope that amplifying their voices and education will take those kids from the throes of poverty into a place of education and power and leadership. I'm a community leader. I serve with the Muncie Black Expo, as I say. Our goal is to be the to be the voice and vehicle for the social and economic advancement of African American children and families in our community. I will be that vehicle. I'm skilled at bringing diverse groups of people together across race, gender, class, and in sectors in a call and timely action. I strive to make a difference in our community. Our city and our schools will face big decisions in the next 2 years, balancing budgets, reimagining our facilities, strengthening our relationship with parents and the communities, all while rebuilding our reputation. With more than 20 years in nonprofit experience and with a record of proven leadership, I have the ability to inspire and to create change. But 3 things as I close that I want to bring is measurable impact. I want to make sure that every dollar is a dollar spent towards improving our educational system. Sound governance. I have dedicated my nonprofit career to transparency, accountability, making hard decisions. And I understand that board service is not running the organization, but making sure that it runs well. And then servant leadership. I'm interested in serving in part to show all of our children that a life spent in service is a life well spent. And our schools are the center of our communities. I'm a creative problem solver, a transformational leader, and I am not afraid to communicate and be honest with my peers in public. I will be a strong advocate for our children and a strong voice for our community.
Thank
and
you.
An effective steward of our dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. We gave you a little extra time there.
Thank you.
It's like in track, if an athlete false starts, they charge that false start to the whole field. So it's strike one to the whole field. Mr. Mark Irvin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, President Mearns. My name is Mark Irvin. It's a real honor to be included among the entire group of finalists tonight. In fact, one of the advantages of going last is I had the opportunity to listen to everyone first. I think the future of Muncie Community Schools is bright no matter who serves on the board from this group. Very impressive. And it's an honor for me to be here. Why am I interested? Really, my reasons for being interested are very simple. I care deeply about our young people. I care deeply about our schools. And I care deeply about the Muncie and Ball State communities, which have both been very good to me through my life. I feel like this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Muncie. We may never see this kind of an opportunity again to change the trajectory of our community and to make wonderful things happen against probably what some would say are long odds, but I think the future is incredibly bright. A little bit about my background and why I am interested in Ball State and interested in the Muncie Community Schools in our community. I'm a proud graduate of the Muncie Community Schools. I attended Emerson Elementary, McKinley Middle School, and Muncie Central High School, and I couldn't help but think back to sitting out there for my freshman convocation, the first day of school, when this building was not yet fully constructed. That makes me old. Also, I'm a loyal alumnus of Ball State University, receiving a bachelor's degree in '81 and a master's in '85, and I've tried to stay very active as a volunteer with both Ball State and the city of Muncie and the schools since. In terms of my employment, I worked for Ball State for 9 years prior to going to law school, and I've been a practicing attorney in Muncie for 25 years this month. So I am truly invested in the community and care a lot about what's going on. What are my special qualifications? What can I do that might be helpful if selected for the school board? I think number one, legal background and skills are important, especially in the world we live in today. I do have the ability and the training to analyze, communicate, and apply facts to the law. I also have the ability to talk, negotiate, and work together with folks to try to reach a common goal. History of sound financial and fiscal management and prior roles I've had in other organizations I think is very important. I had 2 3-year terms as our managing partner at our law firm, but I also served as a board member and chair of the Ball State University Foundation, and in that capacity was also the past chair of the Operations and Finance Committee. It's a pretty major undertaking. I was also fortunate enough to serve as a board member and chair of the board of the Community Foundation of Muncie and Delaware County, where I also chaired the Finance Committee. I think those skills and things that I was fortunate enough to learn could be helpful in this role. Other characteristics that I think I could bring if given the opportunity, I do have a record of extensive and diverse volunteer service in the community. I've served many organizations with different groups of constituents in different roles, leadership roles, supporting roles, other ways to be active. I would treat others with respect and dignity. I think that's crucial. I'm willing to listen and consider different viewpoints and perspectives. I can lead when I feel it's appropriate and when it's helpful to an organization, but I'm also very comfortable following when I think it's for the best. I think both roles can be important. I'll consider all information presented and make tough decisions that will undoubtedly make some people unhappy and some people happy, but the nature of the beast is you have to make tough decisions, and so we all do the best we can, and I would do that.
Thank you.
And then I would bring a passion and an energy and a vision to try to tackle whatever tasks are at hand. So
Thank you very much. Okay, that was strike 2 to the field. Okay, so remember we had that little conversation before we came out. Don't put me in this difficult situation. So now we're going to have, as I mentioned, the first of 2 questions. Each of the candidates who's here this evening will have 90 seconds, right? 90 seconds to those up there in the corner. And we're going to go in reverse order. This will begin with Mr. Irvin. And here's the question. We want you to share with us one idea that you have that will transform our community schools into a thriving school system. And we'll begin with you, Mr. Irvin. Okay. 90 seconds.
There is no magic wand. I thought about this question a lot. There is no one idea that's going to transform everything magically overnight. There are no shortcuts, but I think the one concept that I think is important is that excellence in all the Muncie Community Schools do is the key. It'll require persistence, perseverance, cooperation, and hard work on the part of everybody. Students, board members, teachers, administrators, everyone that has a stake in the schools are going to have to bring all those things to bear. The vision has to be for excellence and quality in everything. That includes academics, athletics, the arts, vocational opportunities, because I think that will set the Muncie schools apart. I think that's something that would lead people to want to be here, which will cause the school system to thrive. I think also excellence in opportunity must extend to all students, regardless of their circumstances or backgrounds. And I think with excellence, students and teachers will beat a path to our doors, and we can thrive and will thrive beyond anyone's wildest expectations.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes-Griffin?
One idea that I have that would transform Muncie Community Schools into a thriving school system is to have a more intentional and positive focus on engaging parents and families in the plan and process of school change. Parent and families should be co-creators and co-producers of the school improvement plan, and this involves every part of the forward motion. You have to have that parent engagement. Our goal should be to have a parent partnership type of school throughout our district. Training and implementing a culturally responsive teaching, whereas the school, the board, the district takes the time to learn students and learn about them and their families and their backgrounds to be able to then teach culturally appropriate. I think that to truly to nurture and have something authentic, it has to be hands-on, it has to be creative, and it has to be an innovative approach to our thriving school system.
Thank you very much. Pastor Mitchell?
One idea that I have is to just think about life in general. Technology has moved life at a rapid pace, but yet our schools and our classrooms are antiquated. It's such an old style. I never believed that I would pay $5 for a cup of coffee, but the first time I walked into a Starbucks, I felt so invited I wanted to come back again, and now I pay $5 cups of coffee all the time. What if we treated our schools the same way? What if kids felt so invited and so innovated by the classroom because it's just like their phone, it's just like Netflix, it's so new, it's so inviting, it's so innovative, it makes them always want to come back. Maybe we can change and stop being so old, and we can be new, innovative, and exciting, and kids would want to be at school because at the end of the day, cool is in the word school.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Milman?
One idea I have to transform Muncie Community Schools into a thriving school system is to create an atmosphere of warmth, acceptance, respect, and honor for all teachers who are the most influential people in a child's life outside of the home. Teachers need to be free to construct the atmosphere of creativity, inspiration, and a love for learning, and if sustained, it will create a climate of anything is possible. With that kind of sustained climate, you will develop a culture of innovation and freedom to think and to change. Encourage teachers to push beyond the current competencies and pedagogies to prepare our children for the near future. They should be supported, respected, and compensated for the outstanding job they do on a regular basis. And they also need to be freed from disruptive students in order to successfully complete the mission.
Thank you very much. Mr. Baus?
So I had a lot of ideas, but with the time constraint, I tried to think, what's the simplest idea? And what's an idea that actually can be a foundation or a cornerstone that other ideas can be built on top of? And so my idea is that we need to fully support, encourage, and resource the teachers in our schools. This isn't a big, shiny, out-of-the-box kind of idea, but I think that's okay, because when we look at the mission of the schools and the school system, the teachers are the people who actually carry it out. Parents are critical, community partners are critical, volunteers, we need those people and we need to engage with them. But the teachers are the people who actually carry out the mission day in and day out. There are a lot of variables in an educational experience, but the data and the research shows teachers are the most important variable. The person who's in the classroom day in and day out, who's spending their evenings, their weekends, their breaks planning and plotting and trying to figure out, how can I reach the students? So one solid concerted plan to fully support the teachers is going to be worth more than 100 brilliant ideas and tools and tactics that can't be carried out if we don't have the incredible teachers that we need. We need to dedicate measurable resources to them. We need to recruit, train, and support them. And we need to give them the confidence, the stability, and the safety that has been missing so that they can do their jobs well. They need us because we need them. So we have to figure out, the school board and the community, how to support them and give them everything they need so they can carry out the mission.
Thank you very much. Reverend Gearing?
What about this earth-shattering idea? What if we recognize the many ways MCS is thriving? What if we lived by the idea of not making MCS great again, but that MCS is great? What if instead of just praying for our schools, we praise our schools, we praise our teachers, and embrace this historic chapter of partnership with Ball State University? What if we're honest about our reality? What if we named the parts that were broken and then we're transparent about the ways that we're going to fix it? Please understand, I'm not advocating for us burying our heads in the sand to the issues in the school corporation. Believe me, I am a diehard realist who is never scared of conflict or a challenge. Also understand, I'm not advocating for the promotion of fake news or offering false praise. I am advocating for a tenacious perception alteration plan that is rooted in the reality of a hardworking school board and leaders who keep the main thing the main thing. And the hard work begins with transparency and communication at the top, parental involvement on the ground, and excitement about creative curriculum. Our past informs our future, but the past does not have to define our future. And we have this gift, and it's a gift of opportunity and a new road to travel into the future.
Thank you very much. Ms. Mathis?
Muncie Community Schools and Ball State have been presented with this amazing opportunity on how we can further build the partnerships. I loved hearing all of the things that President Mearns was saying would be added benefits for the Muncie school teachers. And I'd like to build upon that even more by creating an infrastructure that allows for a streamlined way to get the university involved in daily operations. I mentioned my son was in the dual language program, and I would love to see immersion programs from the university coming in and helping develop those programs, making more than our teachers could do on their own. This is great not only for the Ball State students who will be getting that real world experience, but also our teachers who are sorely in need of some supports. And this is a way that we can help support them, help them grow, help them move along on their road to leadership. We also need a strong public relations plan. We cannot rely on media to tell the story how we want it to be told. We need to make sure that we are presenting that story as it is and making sure that we're highlighting all of the amazing programs that are already happening in the school system today.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lowe?
My one big ideal starts in the form of a question. Is it time to flip the traditional classroom building? the use of traditional classroom seating arrangements, traditional scheduling, and the movement from classroom to classroom, chalkboards and hard copy textbooks may no longer be effective. Classrooms should be inspiring and exciting learning environments which allow for collaborative exchange and teacher creativity. Perhaps the teaching method should at times center on project-based learning, an approach for classrooms activities that emphasizes long-term learning, activities that are collaborative, interdisciplinary, student-centered, and require students to organize their own work, manage their own time, and yet at times work in teams, all with teacher guidance. The new school board should invite focus groups to be involved in this dialogue. Ask teachers for their ideas on effective teaching methods and improvements to the classroom. Invite parents to participate in a discussion on how to inspire their children. Involve students to create ways that will encourage and excite learning. And ask alumni for feedback on what ideas that could have better prepared them for life, a career, or college. The transformation to a school of choice will require many of these ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Bales?
Well, the academic in me hesitates to offer any recommendation without all the information in the data. And I'm not naive enough to think that there is one fail-safe thing that we could throw out here today that's going to solve the world's problems or the problems of MCS. But I think that we can do a better job of controlling the narrative and supporting our teachers. I think that's what we need to be doing. There are already great things happening. I saw it as a student, I saw it as a teacher, and now I see it as an educator at Ball State. There are so many good things happening, like the dual language program, like the preschools. We have immersive learning opportunities for students here at Muncie Community Schools, and most of the general public is not aware of those things because we aren't controlling that narrative. And in addition to that, I think we need to do a better job of supporting our teachers because those are the people who are making those awesome programs happen. And I don't think it's any big secret that teachers are overworked and underpaid. So let's do a better job of making sure that they're supported so that they can do that job, they can make those programs continue and do more innovative things with the partnership that we now have with Ball State.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson?
I'm passionate about school safety and securing a safe working environment for our students and teachers. Our children should not have to worry about anything besides excelling at the highest level in the classroom. My goal for Muncie Community Schools is to put more emphasis on preventing bullying. Even my 9-year-old child went through this at his school this year. There were some kids that said, "You're ugly. Your clothes are ugly. Your mom's ugly. Your shoes are dirty." Even worse than that, a kid tricked him, an older kid tricked him into thinking that the N-word was something positive, and he came home and he called his younger brother the N-word. And my wife and I were heartbroken. Words matter. We know that the suicide rates for teens are increasing throughout the country, and we need to address them head on. We live in a different time where social media has a great influence on our children. With one of my jobs, I work for Wolf Boom. I'm the color commentator and analyst for high school football and basketball in this community. I talk to a lot of kids, and I mentor a lot of kids, and I train kids. One of the things a lot of these kids have told me of the bullying on social media. A lot of times people forget that bullying is just not the physical aspect of it. It's more of the mental. And people get away with it all the time. I would like to see hands-on training, guidance for students, teachers, and families to help them get to the heart of how words can affect us and our self-image. I want to increase our students' self-confidence and self-esteem through more student small groups that will involve all genres of kids and their interests. Getting at the heart of bullying and self-worth in turn reduces the likelihood of a tragic event in our community.
Thank you very much. Ms. O'Neill?
Thank you. You know, it's hard in 90 seconds to define the areas that could be strengthened or made exciting and meaningful to the students, to the parents, and to the teachers. While much has been said about the financial difficulties, much less has been made of the old curriculums, the lacking of teacher resources, and space considerations that directly touch the students and their educational standards. Robert Kennedy again said that the greatest truth must be recognition that in everyone, in every child, there is potential for greatness, unquote. I, for one, absolutely believe that. That potential needs to be safeguarded, nurtured, and valued. No one here has the magic answer, and we've all been honest about saying so. But I also know that negative thoughts, negative demeanor, Eeyore type of personalities are hard to hang around with. They really are. And if you as the leader are positive, you become magnetic. Not fake, but genuine, that you're glad that they showed up. You're glad they came up with that answer. You're glad that you could see them progressing. All these changes that we talk about will happen. Oops. Soon.
Ms. Dodson.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say we're in the business to educate our children, and every business must be able to operate within a budget. Developing a budget that would align resources with student achievement will entail making significant changes in how the resources are spent. A set of principles, policies agreed to by the school board and the staff before the budgeting process begins can provide a touchstone for what matters most, and that is creating the most learning with the money available. Through this process, Muncie Community Schools will become a thriving school system. When we take a holistic approach to education, we will inspire and help our students, staff, teachers to be their physical, mental, and emotional best, and learning will thrive. Without vision, we are blind to success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Heater.
I think a possible way to create transformation for MCS is to continue to build on partnerships that can innovatively provide resources to help ensure transformation can happen. I told you my story about a partnership between the private and public sector that made a difference for me. Change is hard. Developing new ways to enhance an institution's performance is not easy, and it will take a firm conviction to the end goal, and it will take time. We all will need to be patient as we work through all the transformational ideas that we can come up with. I believe that MCS must develop the opportunities for motivated teachers to have all the tools they need to do their job well, much like many of the other candidates. Ensuring that teachers and professional staff have tools in their classrooms, supplies to educate, the opportunity for professional development, appropriate technology, and importantly, the support of the administration to do their job well should be top priorities.
Thank you very much. Mr. Scott.
Well, one idea that I had to cause the schools to thrive is to genuinely have community back in Muncie Community Schools. One of the things that I've seen is the transformation. Living in Whiteley for 40 years, I've seen the transformation of Longfellow Elementary School, and how, with the help of Ball State and the Muncie Community Schools and the residents and a neighborhood of Whiteley, we brought that school. I don't get tired of telling people how that school was an F school, and we brought it up to an A school. I've seen that transformation, and I've seen students within the context of community come into that school and not only change the minds and the attitude of the students, but also the teachers and the families and the residents. And I've seen positive change from this kind of collaboration. Citizens for Central come to Central, and the difference that a high five or a fist bump good morning, how you doing? We're proud of you. How that can turn the whole day of a student. And if we can get that model expanded, if we can get community to really engage with the school and with Ball State and bring that all together, then the passion can return, the excitement. And these kids, they didn't even want to give you a high five. Now they're looking for you. Where you at? Where you at? It is a passion that can be the same thing that transformed Whiteley can transform these schools. We won Neighborhood of the Year for our second year in a row, and it's because of the collaboration and the partnerships that we've built. It's because of community, and that's one idea that I have that I think will cause us to thrive. I get a little excited. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Williams.
One of my roles in the community nonprofit sector is to serve on the Buy 5 board. Buy 5 is a nonprofit operating under the auspices of the Community Foundation, working to bring all Delaware County children from birth to 5 to be ready for kindergarten at the point they set out on that journey. It will come as no shock, and any early elementary school teacher will tell you that there is clearly a school readiness gap. I've learned over the last 10 years or so that 90% of brain development occurs by age 5. 90%. So if you get a child at age 5 who, from birth to 5 or in the womb to age 5, has suffered trauma, the effects of poverty, violence, a lack of stimulation, not being read to, that brain development is going to be substandard. So you can have the most marvelous teachers in the world, but that child will fall victim to circumstances that occurred before they ever came in those doors. So I would build on the partnership which is already in existence between Buy 5, MCS, George and Francis Ball Foundation, On My Way Pre-K through the state, and expand pre-K throughout the system, first at age 4 and then reaching down to age 3, which is currently in place in Elwood, Indiana. It's a great model, and while not a silver bullet, it gives great advantage to those students as they come in that door and start kindergarten at age 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stallings.
Thank you. I believe that in order to truly transform Muncie Community Schools into a thriving school system, we need to strategically invest in the school system by creating a highly sought after, what I would call, destination school district. While we already have great programs in our community, and I will take the risk of ignoring covering all of them in the amount of time I have, I believe we also need to consider proposing some big, bold programs. While we need to consider making difficult choices to right-size our resources to a sustainable level, we must also seek out grants, foundation gifts, and business support to further strengthen our programs and invest in programs which will differentiate our school district. In the language of business, we need to create our own distinctive value proposition. One example of such a transformative investment would be to seek support to establish an International Baccalaureate or IB program in Muncie Community Schools. The IB program is a highly regarded academic program with a quality international reputation. There is not an IB program currently in our local geographic area. The nearest programs are in the Metro Indianapolis, Kokomo, Fort Wayne, and Valparaiso communities. The International Baccalaureate program will attract highly qualified and gifted students, which will then attract families and siblings of all abilities, and which will also be an asset to attract new and growing employers and well-paying jobs to our community. The IB program can take advantage of the state law that currently permits students to enroll in inter-district transfers that has resulted in students leaving our district to return to our district and come back, as well as attracting students from other districts. There is certainly a high barrier for entry that is an investment to meet the expense to set up that program, and therefore it would not be easily replicated in a neighboring school district. This would benefit the first school district to implement such a program in this geographic area, and will act as a defense or moat against losing future enrollment to a program outside the Muncie Community School District. I believe that there are, in fact, many other potential programs like this, but I believe we need to invest in a big, bold program that will help differentiate ourselves and help to define our value proposition and help us to become a destination school district.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pastor O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. I think we all intuitively know that there's not one idea that's going to turn this thing around. I think we've heard a lot of ideas that I think are great. One of the things that I wanted to present tonight, I think, not to get preachy, but there's a scripture that says, as a man thinks, so is he. And I think we've got to change the mindset. It's kind of been alluded to tonight, that we've got to change the mindset not only of our teachers and our parents, but our whole entire community. And I believe what we need to do is to begin to create collaborations within our community. And so one of the things that I thought about is maybe starting some type of a theme, some type of a rallying point, and I call it Remember the Kids. And so a lot of things get lost when we forget that we're doing this for the kids. And I believe what we can do, maybe to start out, whoever's on this board, along with President Mearns, begin to meet with the teachers, perhaps maybe 3 times a year, and affirm them, celebrate them, listen to them, so that collaboration can happen with not only those groups, but the local stakeholders as well, to do what we need to do to get where we're going to get. If we have a rallying point, we can do this. And I think it's a mindset that has to be changed so that we know that this can bring about a good outcome. We've got to change the mindset. Whatever we decide to do, we can do. We already know that we have great teachers, so people are leaving because of the perception of it being negative, but that's not really the case.
Thank you. Mr. Donati.
I believe we have a thriving school system already. We've been in crisis mode for quite some time, so when I thought about this question, I thought that I would make suggestions for how to spend the $3 million that we've raised recently. First one would be give our teachers a raise. They haven't seen a raise for years, and they have carried this school corporation to where we are today, and they deserve some appreciation, and we could do that by giving them a raise. Second, I'd suggest that we take the $50,000 that were donated to school supplies and work with the Back to Teachers store to leverage more school supplies with a service they've been providing for quite some time now. I'd also like to say that we should make sure that all of our HVAC systems are thriving and do capital improvement projects immediately so we know that our children have the best environment to learn in. Also, support our after-school programs more. We know that those are significant programs in our child's education and in their growth. Also, as what's been said, make sure that we're continuing to support preschool and early childhood education, because those brain development years are super important to catch, and we know that through tons of research. Lastly, I would suggest that we use some of that funds to create a Montessori program, much like we've done with the dual immersion language program that has been proven with data to state that it helps reduce the academic achievement gap and specifically helps with kids from low-income backgrounds.
Thank you very much. Mr. Willard.
So as it's been made pretty obvious, the opportunities for innovative educational experiences within the school system are endless. One of the big benefits of this unique situation is that MCS has the opportunity to utilize many of the resources Ball State has to offer. Having a teacher's college in its own backyard gives MCS a tremendous advantage. We can take advantage of the wealth of knowledge of the professors and students in order to create new and creative educational opportunities to provide the students of MCS. My specific vision is that by having a positive outlook about how things can change for the better, and by having high expectations of administrators, teachers, and students, the successful school corporation will follow. Teachers should be held accountable to teach their content with passion, differentiating instruction, as well as using enrichment strategies to reach all students. Ball State teacher education should play a large role in professional development opportunities for current teachers, and there should be opportunities provided for college-age students to get in the classroom in order to earn practical real-world experience. By utilizing Ball State, having a positive outlook, being willing to embrace the changes necessary, and having high expectations for all stakeholders to succeed, This school system will see improved test scores, improved teacher morale, and will improve Muncie and the overall community as a whole.
Thank you very much. Ms. Quirk-Hunter?
Yes. I think that everyone here has had some wonderful ideas. I took this question more as a general question, and what I think that we really need to do is promote stability in our system. We need to take advantage of this partnership that we have with Ball State now and promote that as a stabilizing feature of our school system. We need to continue trying to stabilize the finances. We need to stabilize the educational programs and the teachers and make sure everyone knows that these programs are still going to be here. We're still going to have early college programs, AP classes, the training programs at the MAC, and the other programs that we have, and promote that as being as stable as possible. We also need to stabilize the extracurricular activities that are going on here. There are numerous clubs and sporting activities that the students can all participate in, and I think we all need to be supportive of those activities, along with promoting the stability of the teachers and the educational programs, and I think that would help all of the school system thrive as well.
Thank you very much. So now to the second question, and as our candidates know, once again, you have 90 seconds to answer this question. You know, as we have been talking about this evening, and as we know, the families of more than 1,600 children who reside in the Muncie Community School District, their families have chosen to enroll their children in schools outside of our district. And to entice those families back, as many of you said, we need to do a better job of communicating the good things that are already happening in our schools, and we need to develop new programs, the kind of innovative programs that you described, in order to attract them to enroll their children in Muncie Community Schools. But I want to give you the opportunity tonight, if you were to speak directly to one of the family members of one of those children, what would you say to them tonight to encourage them to come home, to enroll their children in the Muncie Community Schools when the school year begins in August? And we're going to begin, Ms. Quirk-Hunter.
I think this also ties into my answer on the last question. I think that I would tell them that we are a stable school system and that the teachers here are fantastic. They are very involved in the students. They are encouraging, and they go out of their way to make sure that the students have things that they need, or if they have extra credit activities that they can do, any extra work, the teachers are always willing to pitch in and help. I would also encourage them to look into the academic programs that we have here. Like I mentioned earlier, we have an early college program that we've done with Ivy Tech that is fantastic. My daughter will have 60 hours of college credit by the time she graduates and an associate's degree, and that is all free to me at this point. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity for the students in our community to take advantage of. There are also numerous activities that are involved in the schools. They have activities such as a Young Progressives Club, a philosophy club where students from Ball State also come and deal with the students in this philosophy club. There's the numerous activities that everyone can take advantage of, and there's pretty much a niche for every student here if you just take the time to investigate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willard?
I would encourage our families to come back and be a part of the solution. They have an opportunity to be part of a groundbreaking, innovative, and unique learning environment not offered at any other school. They will have the opportunity to appreciate that they were part of a new model that will be so successful that will be implemented in other school corporations that have had similar issues to MCS. For too long, emotion drove the decision-making process within the corporation. For the future of the program, the students will benefit from practical decision-making, setting aside emotion and concern over the politics of the way that people have wanted the educational process to be in the past. Our focus will be what is best for the students. It's best for them to attend the school in the district in which they live. It's best for them to attend the school with the greatest amount of resources, academic options, and opportunities. It is best for them to attend a school in which they feel safe and their parents feel safe as they watch their children get on the bus for school each day. It is best for them to be taught by the most passionate teachers, to be able to participate in extracurriculars, both in the arts and athletic opportunities. And it's best for them to attend their school, a school in which they can feel pride about how far it has come, a place where traditions can still live alongside innovative opportunities. It's time to learn from the mistakes of the past, but to also move on from them and look towards the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willard. Mr. Donati?
I would say we have Merlin the therapy dog. That's a pretty neat feature. If you haven't met Merlin, he's a real cuddly dog that walks around high school. We have a branding problem. We have amazing programs. We're a thriving school system. As mentioned, our early college program is incredible. It recently is designated as an endorsed early college from the Center of Excellence in Leadership and Learning. That's been an amazing program that, as far as I know, is one of the best in the county, and been able to help students graduate with an associate's degree. We have incredible staff and teachers and administrators who go above and beyond every day to provide a great opportunity for all children. We have strong arts programs. Our elementary arts programs are incredible. From band to music to, I'm blown away every time I visit an elementary school and get to see some of the arts programs. All the extracurricular activities, we have incredible coaches. We just have a lot to offer. We just got to do a much better job of branding and getting that word out and putting wraps on buses and doing something like the We Fly campaign. Let's just all come together and really brand our district and do what we can to let people know that we have all of this here. So it'd be great if you came back.
Thank you very much. Pastor O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things that have already been said. I think we have to get the perception that our community is negative. And so I would start out with asking a question. What if all of your reasons for leaving have been corrected? What if whatever your objections are that cause you to leave the system in those kinds of numbers, what if those problems were solved? Would you give MCS another chance? Will you have some faith, exercise some belief, some trust? We have new leadership. We have Ball State, one of the leading trainers of teachers in our nation, that have thrown in and made a commitment to make this thing successful. If all those things are working, would you give us another chance? When I thought about that those 1,600 children, those families, if we talk about dollars and cents, if you multiply that by 7,000, that is $11.2 million that would return to our system. What can we do with that? We can increase the pay for our teachers and our administrators and those that are appropriate, that have been pushing and doing their jobs well. So I would let them know that, hey, we need you to buy into this. You live in Muncie. There's a reason why you're still here. We're doing a great job. We just got to tell the story.
Thank you. Mr. Stallings.
I have, in fact, had the opportunity to speak with families both in the community and who are considering employment about relocating to the community, about why they should consider and choose to live in Muncie and to select Muncie Community Schools. First, I think very importantly, I would speak to the value that our diverse student population brings to our district. I think that's an area that we really value sometimes as a community. I think that's a strength of ours, and sometimes I think some folks in this community have seen it as a liability. I believe we need to see that as a strength, as an asset, and our school district certainly benefits from that. My kids certainly have benefited from learning in a diverse cultural and ethnic environment, and I believe it will prepare them well for the world that they're engaged in over their entire lives. Today, in fact, I had a chance to speak with somebody who is in the process of relocating their children from a school in this community to another school, and they believe that the Muncie schools, because of the diversity, was a destination school for them. In addition, I would indicate, as others have mentioned, that we have some outstanding academic programs, including our terrific vocational trades out at the MAC, the Enhanced Learning Program, or ELP program, the Dual Language Program, our excellent arts and music programs throughout Muncie Community Schools, our wide selection of athletic sports, the breadth and depth of our upper division academic courses, including the breadth of our advanced placement programs, early college, as well as Project Lead the Way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Williams.
If I was sitting down with a family who had left Muncie Community Schools, I would first, I think it was important to go on something Keith just said, to ask them very specifically why they left and to probe that in some detail. Because we can all sit here and we can speculate about the reasons, but I don't know that we really know those reasons until we sit and talk to those families, or at least figure out a way to understand what drove that decision. And once we were able to determine those reasons, I would ask then for an opportunity to correct those misimpressions or to correct those problems that they perceived, to give them some assurance that moving forward, the system would continue to be student-centered, that there would be nothing sacred except that what is in the educational best interest of your son or daughter, that they would be safe, that my cell phone number is 765-977-4277, and I don't give that out very often, but I would give them that. And if there's a problem, I will address it in 24 hours. I will get you a response. I won't promise you that it will be fixed, but I will promise you that you will be heard. And I think being heard is critical. So I think finding out why people left and addressing those, whether they be real or perhaps fictional reasons, and reassuring them is critical. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Scott?
Okay, I'm going to have to watch this sign here because this one touched home and I can get a little passionate about this one. I would try to tell them the same thing I had to tell my son, who was considering taking our grandson and enrolling him and my daughter in a school other than Muncie Community School systems. And the first thing I said, you got to give me more than 90 seconds to tell you about all the programs in our Muncie Community Schools, which a lot you have heard about, so that saved me some time. But the other thing I would tell him, if you're ever going to enter Muncie Public Schools, now is the time. We had almost 100 people that were interested in being on our school board. We have hundreds of people that are engaged and involved and active in ways that I have not seen in the Muncie school system before. There is a determination and a passion that's brewing now that hasn't been in a long, long time. And it's not just Ball State and Muncie Community School. It's our clergy and it's our businesses. It's our foundations. It's our community. It's you see, I get excited. Y'all get excited. And if there ever was a time to do it, you need to do it now. And it's not something that we're saying is going to happen. It's not something that we say, we hope it happens. This thing is happening right now. It's happening tonight. And I would tell them, yeah, you want to be a part of this. You don't want to miss this. And I'm proud to announce that this fall, Benjamin Odell Scott will be entering Longfellow Elementary School. And so will we.
Thank you very much. Good luck, Mr. Heater.
Yeah. Yeah. Pastor being followed by a banker, you all are really excited about that. I echo what everybody said. Simply asking those families for the reasons why they moved is really, really important. And as Jim said, actionable information is really critical to have. I think this is really a difficult issue. As a parent, the education and the environment in which your child receives that education is critically important. It is the most important responsibility we probably all have had as parents. I think we must have honest dialogue because some of the reasons we probably don't want to hear, and mostly because I think, as you heard, we're not really sure they're really accurate. And it's hard to convince somebody differently. But I think it'll be, frankly, a little difficult to bring some families back, depending upon the adjustment that the kids had made in the new system. As a parent, that's a really important thing. And I don't want to be a naysayer. I just think that will be a challenge. I think we can bring them back once we're able to communicate all of the things you've heard tonight and know, because you're the interested folks. MCS needs to be in a competitive situation with other school corporations. We have to be able to offer the things that other schools do and do it well. And I think we have to tell that story. And that's what I would like to see happen.
Thank you, Ms. Dotson.
I would encourage them to give us a second chance. As I said in my introduction, I am a foster parent, and one of the things that I teach my children is you make a mistake, you pay for that mistake once. You don't keep paying for it every single week. We learn from our past mistakes and go forward. My granddaughter went to Story Elementary when it closed. She had to go to Westview. Her mother called me freaking out because fear is a powerful thing. It is. What are we going to do? We have to send her to the county. We have to send her to the county. No, we are going to ride this out. We are going to support our schools here. And she is in Westview. She is going into the 3rd grade. She is an honor student, and it's because of the dedicated teachers and the programs that Muncie Community offers at all levels of education. And I would just say to the families out there, what are you afraid of? Let's address those fears and let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. O'Neill.
You know, when a parent decides to move their child to another school system, I can imagine that the decision was not a spur-of-the-moment idea. Something has been festering that's been unresolved. Why would you want to remove the student from the friends they know and the environment they're familiar with, unless it was really serious, or you as the parent thought it was really serious? We have good teachers. We have good students. And we have some beautiful school buildings. We have what it takes. What we don't have is the belief in ourselves that we're as good as anybody else, because everybody's got problems. And the way that I look at this particular situation is there is none other like what we're doing with the partnership between Ball State and Muncie Community Schools. There is no other experience of that anywhere in the country. So we are clearly going to be making history. The question is it going to be a good history or is it going to be a bad history? And I can tell you, I can tell by the caliber of people speaking tonight, it's going to be a good history. And that parent that moved their child for some reason will come back.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
If I were speaking directly to one of the family members, I would say, I am you. Most of the concerns that you had about the Muncie Community Schools, I had as well. There were times when trust was broken and I wondered if the leadership could fix the mess that they had gotten themselves into. I too lost faith in our school system. I have 3 young boys and my wife, and I always envision them going through the Muncie Community Schools to get their education. The house we bought in Halterman Village was based on 8 years ago with the thought of our children going to Mitchell right down the street, then going to Northside, then going to Muncie Central. That didn't happen, but I'm still here because I believe in Muncie, and I believe in what Ball State and what this board is about to accomplish. We did have great concerns about the future education too, but I believe in Muncie again. I knew somehow, some way, that they would figure it out and great people would step up and meet the challenge of what was necessary in this community, and they did. I would ask that you embrace Ball State leading the new administration of our community schools, trust the leadership of our newly appointed board, believe with me, dream with me on the Muncie Community Schools being recognized in the state for renewed excellence. Trust the process. Know that you will always have a voice in me because I am you.
Thank you very much. Professor Bales.
I can speak personally to this because we were one of those families. We moved our kids. And it was probably the hardest decision that I ever made as a parent because at the time it seemed like the right thing to do. There was so much instability. All the good teachers were leaving. There was no leadership, and it just appeared to be a mess. And I didn't want that for my kids. And so at the time it seemed like the right thing to do. In hindsight, it's always 20/20. So we went to a county school, and everything is fine. And the decision never settled well for me or my husband. It never felt like home. The teachers never felt like family like it does at Muncie Community Schools. But in the end, the thing that brought us back, my children will be at Northview, the thing that brought us back is what I think is the very thing that might be driving these families away, and that's the diversity of Muncie Community Schools. We want that for our children, and we did not have that at the county schools. We want them to be exposed to a variety of backgrounds, kids, races, religions, sexual orientation. We want our kids to have that. And because Muncie Community Schools has that, they're able to offer all these wonderful programs that we keep hearing about because they're teaching such a diverse group of people. So we're excited to be home again, and that's what I would tell these families. You are really missing out by not being here.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lowe.
Bringing families back to the Muncie schools can start by including them in the creation of a new strategic plan. The Muncie School Board and parents can aspire to renew the mission and vision of the Muncie Community Schools. The board and parents will increase community and business partnerships, improve teacher morale, and increase parent-teacher collaboration and support. The school board and parents will create strategies that are flexible, sustainable, and develop a school system that is resilient to whatever the future may bring. The school board and parents will find ways in which the Muncie Community Schools can capitalize on its strengths and opportunities, communicate its successes, and align goals with the needs of the community. The board and parents will find ways in which the school system can build a solid educational opportunity for the community. The Muncie School Board and parents will create a strategic plan that will take the school firmly into the future. The board and parents will create strategies to contain costs while still promoting optimal, desirable approaches to education. The board and parents will create strategies for learning opportunities through innovative, emerging educational programs. And the board and parents will create pathways to becoming a highly performing school corporation that promotes, recruits, and engages community partners at a level that will embrace success. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mathis.
This question is not a hypothetical situation for me. I have spoken with numerous families that have been weighing the decision whether to look for a home outside of Muncie schools, to move their kids and transport them to different schools. And my conversation with them always starts the same way. I talk about our personal experience, how my son has thrived with the Muncie Community Schools and the special education program and other great programming that's offered. But it also ends in the same way. I talk about the amazing teachers that we have. You will not find better teachers at the county schools. The teachers are here because they are dedicated to the people that we serve, to the students. They want to make a difference, and we are lucky to have them. We also need to work on getting stories out, like I said before. I don't think in a county school district you're likely to find a food and clothing bank that was created at Southside Middle School by teachers recognizing a gap, that their students were going home hungry, that they were spending the weekends hungry, and this allowed them to fill a need that is not going to be filled in another kind of school district. We need to, like I said, make sure that we're telling this story, that we're getting all of those positive things out, and I think that we will attract new families, some of them returning back to the school district, but others who just want to come to Muncie and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Gearing.
Growing up the daughter of a public school administrator and a public school teacher, we had exciting dinner conversations about curriculum evaluations and classroom management tactics, and we debated education legislation. These dinner dinner table tapes play in my head to this day and have made me both a great advocate for and a great critic of public schools. Having just moved to Muncie a year ago, my husband and I intentionally chose to enroll our children in Muncie Community Schools. Even though we were moving from a community with a grade A school corporation designation, we made this decision without any hesitation, and we have not been disappointed. In spite of the struggles of the school districts, within the walls of the schools, children are learning, teachers are teaching, and the environment is positive. My daughters, one of whom has a significant learning disability, have both advanced in their learning and they both love their school. Perception often becomes someone's reality, but perception is not always the reality. The reality of Muncie Community Schools is that children are cared for. Teachers are trained and committed, and your children will grow, learn, and have an opportunity to thrive. Take it from me, I am a critical mama bear who highly values education, and I have a pulpit every Sunday to share our positive experiences.
Thank you very much. Mr. Baus?
Thank you. So in talking with a family, first I would ask questions, and I would listen so that I could understand and empathize with the decisions that they've made. There's a lot of diverse families and experiences in this community, and I can't assume to understand or believe that everyone has the same experience. So I want to understand first and foremost. But what I would say to any family, whether they're currently in MCS or they're outside of it, is that school isn't just about learning facts and memorizing dates, but it's also about learning about the value of community, building relationships, creating friends, breaking down barriers, and creating community within the system itself. So every family actually has the opportunity. Every single family in our community has the opportunity to show up and demonstrate to our kids what it looks like in real time to invest in our community, to fight for our community, to build our community, and to do something that's bigger than any one family or any one student. I think there is a perception that we're fighting against other schools in the area, but I think it just feels that way. I think what we're actually fighting against is misperception, it's frustration, it's fear, it's exhaustion. And so I think we have to invite families into a story that says you get to play a role. You are a part of this community, and when your kids are present and when you're present, when we all show up together, we can actually make a difference because we're fighting for the community that we're building at the exact same time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Milburn?
I agree with so many things that have been said already. One thing I'd like to add is I think parents convince other parents, and some way create a platform for parents to talk one-on-one to these parents that have exited and share their stories. Sometimes you can find that another parent can speak to the need, the desire, the longing of a parent. So my first thing is to put parents on display and let them speak to other parents to tell them what they have experienced. Now, it would have to be parents that are excited about the school system, but we definitely want parents to speak to other parents. Another thing that I had was that incentives are very powerful. And I would suggest that we prepare to offer an incremental tuition remission based on the number of years a student has attended Muncie Community Schools. This perhaps will inspire students and parents to bring their children back to Muncie Community Schools to pursue diverse careers.
Thank you. Pastor Mitchell.
I would take a page out of the Golden State Warriors book, who won, surprisingly, another championship. When they were going after the coveted free agent Kevin Durant, they didn't just talk about how great Golden State was. They talked about how great they would be if Kevin came with them, because he was a missing piece to the puzzle. They already had an MVP, but he was the missing MVP. I would treat that family member like the missing MVP and remind them that we can compete for championships, but we need your valuable family with us. Now, if that doesn't work, I would tell them that a little birdie, a red cardinal specifically, whispered in my ear and told me we were better together. Thank you.
Reverend Mitchell, Pastor Mitchell, you just redeemed yourself. I was about to tell you that I'm a long-standing Cleveland resident, so bringing up the Golden State Warriors, but you saved yourself at the end. Ms. Barnes-Griffin, please.
I would tell families to give us another chance. With Ball State and this collaboration, the possibilities are endless. There are opportunities for all students to have the same opportunities as the gifted and talented programs. We could just level that playing field. With Ball State and trained staff, administration, creative programming such as the Cooper Science Building and STEM and architectural design and engineering and business, all of those programs that our kids can be subjected to and take part in, it will be life-changing. We have an opportunity to directly and be more intentional about college for those who never thought college possible. Having the college experience in their classrooms and taking them to the college. I know that when my children go from elementary to middle school, they take a visit to the middle school. Then they take a visit to the high school. Well, let's take a visit to Ball State. Let's make college and college prep be something that is achievable for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Irvin?
Despite all the good things that have been going on in the schools, and there are many good things that have been going on in the schools, over the last few years we've kind of been distracted, we've lost our focus. But I think if we all collectively commit and recommit to making students and their success the focus of everything that we do, every single thing that we do, students will see that it's a new day. And I think when students see it, they respond to it. And when they see it, and if we invite them to come be a part of something really special that's new and exciting, I think they'll come back in increasing numbers.
Thank you very much. So we're drawing close to the end of the program, and I indicated to all of the candidates that we're now going to give them just 1 minute to offer any additional or final thoughts, and we're going to begin with you, Mr. Irvin.
I'm going to give some time back here because my comments are very brief. What an incredible opportunity we have. That's the important takeaway from tonight, is this is just incredible. The energy, the possibilities are endless. And I think really for our community, it's probably the most significant opportunity that's occurred in the last 100 years. I can't think of anything else other than possibly the founding of Ball State, which incidentally happened 100 years ago, that's had the kind of an impact that this could have. I'm excited to be a part of it in any way that I can. I thank you all for being here and being interested and concerned to share with us.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes-Griffin.
I am excited, as well as the others, to be a part of this unique opportunity to improve the educational experience for all the children, families, and the educators within our community and Muncie Community School system. Selecting me will see me ensuring that we implement sound governance practices, evidence-based decision-making, focused return on investment, and schools that work for our whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Mitchell.
My spiritual goal was to make a difference, and at the time that I had delusions of grandeur, that it would be easy, but I've always been dropped into hard situations, and there's been nothing that I have tackled that I haven't left better than I found it, except for my hairline. That's the only one that I failed. The rest of them, I have moved them forward, and so I would like the opportunity to try that again. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Milben.
It's been a pleasure going through this process. I am convinced that goodness resides in Muncie, and we just sweep away all of the excess and it will emerge. And I thank you for the opportunity to just stand here and share what we have, and whether I'm chosen or not, it's going to be good.
Mr. Baus.
Speaking as a parent, when I think about the new school board and this historic opportunity, whoever is sitting in these roles, my desire is that it's a dynamic and diverse group. that is multiracial, multi-generational, and that they're able to lead transformation because they're listening and they're building relationships and they're creating collaboration and partnership. And I want them to not only help us change the way we think and talk about our schools, but redefine what's possible within the walls. Being on the board isn't just about making good decisions. That's kind of like the baseline expectation, financial stability and quality decisions. My hope is that the board actually helps us lead in the community. There are great things already happening in the schools. We've talked about that. There are great teachers. We still have hard decisions to make, hard conversations to have, but the work is there. And with great leaders in place, I know that we can rise to the challenge, and I'd love to be a part of that, and I'd love to play a role in this story. I truly believe that the best days are ahead of us and not behind us.
Thank you. Reverend Gearing?
As a friend reminded me when I was excitedly telling her about being a semifinalist for the Muncie Community School Board, probably using lots of gestures and hand motions, she responded, "You're a mom of kids in the school district, you're collaborative, you've lived in other communities and seen the good and the bad options for school, you can read a financial report, you live by a strict budget in your home, you are smart, feisty, open-minded, and loving." Yes, I am all those things. Because at the very core of my being is a deep desire for all people to thrive, all people. So that means that my job is to fight on behalf of the mind, the body, the spirit, and the economic health of all people. And fight I will, and I'll do it with joy, and I'll do it with humor, I'll do it with intelligence, and I'll do it with tenacity.
Thank you. Ms. Mathis?
After listening to everyone on the stage tonight, I am positive that there are great things ahead for our community and our school district. And I'm really excited to be a part of that in whatever way I am selected to do so. So I just want to thank everyone for showing such great support for the school system and wish President Mearns good luck in making a decision.
You're making it very difficult, but it's a wonderful blessing to have. Mr. Lowe?
The community is positioned to come together and in collaboration with teachers, students, parents, create a school system of choice. Working together, we can advance the school system in ways that include promoting innovative programs that inspire a community connection, a greater potential for providing educational opportunities for our Muncie area youth, incorporating universal and deliberate support systems throughout the school, corporation, and community for successful transitions for our students, home to school, elementary to middle school to high school, and high school to career or college, and fostering and capitalizing on community partnerships. It is the collaboration and partnerships in our community that will help advance the Muncie Community Schools in a positive manner. I am honored to be considered for the position on the Muncie Community School Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Bales?
You know, I think somewhere along the way, all this stopped being about the kids. And after tonight, I think we are headed in the right direction so that these decisions that we're making start being about the kids again. And I'm excited about that. I think that my perspective as a teacher, educator, and parent would serve well on the board, but whether I end up on this board or not, I will still advocate for the teachers and the students of Muncie Community Schools.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson?
I've been deeply rooted in this community for over 30 years. Ball State graduate, played sports here at Ball State, created businesses in this community. I work with kids on a daily basis. I feel like I would be a tremendous asset to this board, but if I'm not on this board, I know for a fact that there's a great group of people on this board that will make it happen. We all know that we have to strengthen our community schools here, because if our schools are not strong, families don't move here, businesses don't come here, which slows down economic development here. So we all know how important that is. I'm just honored to be here today, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. O'Neill?
Thank you. I want to thank the Board of Trustees and you, President Mearns, and everybody involved with setting up this discussion with really smart people and people that want to know what's going to be going on with their school system. I am honored to be part of this particular group. They could probably handle anything you want to throw at them. You know, we know that some people, because 1/5 of any population always disagrees with everything all the time. So that being true, some will disagree with this partnership and what it's meant to be. And what I hope will happen is that we realize their anger is fear. They don't know enough of the facts that you know. So don't respond to the anger, respond to the fear, and try and satisfy their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dodson?
Thank you. I agree with everything that's been said here tonight. There are a lot of intelligent people sitting here that have the passion and the compassion to see this board go into the future and bring our students with us, as well as the families. This is not just about the kids, it's about the families and how are we going to move them into the next step. Me personally, any way that I can serve my community, my school system, that's a positive win for me. And if that's sitting on this board, I would be honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. Mr. Heater?
The challenge we have before us all is really about the responsibility as a community that we share to ensure that the opportunities for all children in the school system are prepared to be successful in life. A foundation of executing that responsibility is stability, and I think that's one of the things that is clear tonight. Communicating stability is going to be important. My passion to participate with MCS lies in the educational spirit my parents instilled in me in their entire lives. My passion lies in the belief that a strong public school system is paramount to economic stability and a thriving community. And my passion also lies in the drive of the company that I lead to help people live better lives. The opportunity to help make MCS a thriving school system is exciting and motivating to me, maybe not quite as much as Frank, outwardly. But the credibility and energy that Ball State has brought to this opportunity is inspiring as we try to do something that is completely unprecedented. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Scott?
I'm really, really very honored to be here tonight as a finalist, as a candidate. And I realize this is not something that you should enter into lightly, but soberly, reverently, discreetly, in the fear of God. It's kind of like a marriage, really. But it's really not just my opportunity or the opportunity of the candidates that sit on this stage. It's all of our opportunity. And regardless of who is on this board, we're all going to have to get on board because it's going to take all of us to see this through. My confidence and faith in Ball State is because of the relationship that we've built with them as a neighborhood organization over years. So I'm very confident in the process, and I'm excited, and I am committed to helping and being a part of this in any capacity that I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
First of all, thank you to President Mearns and the Board of Trustees for this opportunity, and thank you to all of you for being here tonight and interested. I'd like to speak to all of you and those who will watch this later in some other venue. As the school goes, the community goes. Late 50s, we saw consolidation sweep across the Midwest, and you can see all those little communities in Indiana and Ohio that lost schools. And as the school goes, the community dies shortly thereafter. Muncie's big enough to sustain itself, but it'll be fundamentally poorer if we aren't successful in this venture. It's critical that this corporation remain a positive anchor in this community, and that will require this board to work with the university in this historic opportunity to continue focusing on educating the whole child from pre-K through high school to be socially adept, critical thinkers, humane and productive adults. And it's a mission that we have to sustain. If we don't tackle this with unrelenting verve, the children suffer, the community suffers, and ultimately, not to be too dramatic, but the burden will sink us. The return on our educational investment, both financially tangible and intangible, is greater than any other investment we can make. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stallings.
I'd like to begin by just thanking all of you for the opportunity to be a part of this, and the university's taking on the leadership in this as well. There's certainly some impressive candidates here. I think that the future is very positive in the leadership that will emerge from this group. The focus this evening has been on the board. I want to turn that and say I really think that the challenge is back to the community. And I want to challenge this community, as Mr. Williams was just talking about, that I believe that we have to embrace this opportunity as a group and not relegate the responsibility to a small group of individuals. And I want to highlight that specifically with a program that I was introduced to from Mary Dollison. It's a program called the 40 Developmental Assets. It is a program not just for schools but for communities to embrace the opportunity to understand the concept of it takes a village. We're all part of this. We all have to be a part of this. And if we all embrace that, I think we'll be very successful with your support. I look forward to the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pastor O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. I again am thankful to be here, thankful to Dr. Mearns and Ball State trustees and those well-wishers that are part of the decision-making process. I'm just honored to be here. I'm excited about the future. When I think about all of these fine people that are here, everybody's busy. All of us have things to do, but to commit to the level that the commitment is going to need to be done to move our schools where they need to go is very exciting. I've been trying to figure out how I could get involved in public schools because I have a family legacy of administration and teachers. My dad was assistant superintendent in schools and taught in these schools here in Muncie for many years, as well as my mom. My Uncle Sam was a superintendent here, and my Uncle Bob was on the faculty at Ball State. I've got a first cousin that is a retired superintendent in 3 states. So this is my opportunity to serve the community schools and keep the family line going.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donati.
Thank you, President Mearns, for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thank you to everyone as well here. Thank you to my family for loaning me out for so many evenings and hours into this. I just want to say in closing, I've been labeled as a critic of the school takeover and, put in a box as far as being opposed to what is happening. And I just want to reiterate that that's not necessarily the whole story. I had concerns that I vocalized throughout the process, through civil discourse, concerns that I had concerns about. But that does not mean that I will not put everything I got into making sure that this is a success. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and do the work that needs to be done to form a great partnership. This is a historic opportunity, and I just want to make sure everyone knows that, all the Ball State staff members here, everyone here, that if I'm chosen, I will definitely take this seriously and roll up my sleeves and do what's best for this community.
Thank you, Mr. Donati. Mr. Willert.
Thank you. After sitting here for the last few hours listening to everyone, it's quite clear that there are a lot of people that are very excited and very interested in the success of the corporation. I know if I'm not chosen to be on this board, I know that there are 19 other people that have the same or even more qualifications than myself, whether it's Mr. Scott's great enthusiasm, the fiercely protective mama bear. My children will be taken care of, and that excites me for their future. I thank all of you for being here tonight. It takes a lot to take 2 hours out of your time to be here, and I thank President Mearns for moderating, and I'm very honored to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willert. And Ms. Quirk-Hunter.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for considering me to be on the school board. I think it's an honor, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I think that this is a great chance for us basically to start over and decide what we want to do, what's in the best interest of the students and our community, and go forward from here. I've lived here my entire life, and I'm so proud that everyone here has applied to be on the school board, expressed interest, and that everyone here has shown up and shown us support as well. So I know that in the future, we're all going to have to roll up our sleeves and get to work, and we're going to need help from all of the community. So I just want to thank everybody for that support at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to express our respect, our appreciation, our admiration for these candidates for our school board. Thank you. So before we conclude, I want to remind you that there are comment cards. If you haven't already received one, there are comment cards on the table. And by the way, at the same table is a sign-up sheet for anyone here who wants to learn more about how to enroll their children in the Muncie Community Schools next August. Also, please spread the word to all current family members and all prospective family members that on June 28th at 6 p.m. right here in the high school, we're going to have an informational session for all families of children and prospective Muncie Community Schools, children, so please join us. And then finally, just a final word, both to the candidates and to all of you who have joined us here or who are watching. I think this program reaffirms what we know. It confirms our abiding optimism that if we work together with an unwavering and unflinching focus on doing what's right for our children, we will change the perception and the actual trajectory of the Muncie Community Schools. I believe that, and I know you do as well. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.